Our Group 4 project is on breaking a bone. Bones play an enormous part in our everyday lives. Their main function is to keep structure and support throughout the body. Bones are formed through ossification as a result of the formation of cells called osteoblasts. These cells bind together to form bone tissue, which are infused with calcium to create a hard and strong structure. Because osteoblasts self-replicate, a bone fracture is never impossible to heal. Through mitotic cell division, osteoblasts divide and multiply to form a new, healed bone. The osteoblast's ability to self-replicate greatly decreases the severity of bone fractures. Typically, with a few months allowance to heal, a bone should have no problem reforming itself. The answer to the question of how much pressure is actually needed to break a bone depends on a few things. There is a wide variety of pressures that can cause a fracture based on the composition and size of the bone and the directness of the force. For example, a force of just 25 pounds can cause one of the body's small bones to fracture if it's applied at its weakest point. A bone is much more likely to fracture if the force is concentrated on a single spot rather than being spread out. Also, as you get older, especially if you drink often or smoke, bone tissues become increasingly brittle, making it much harder for them to absorb impact. This puts older people at a higher risk of suffering from a fracture due to something as simple as a small fall. There are many different types of fractures. One type is a stable fracture. This type of fracture is barely out of place. The broken ends of the bones basically line up together, and the bones usually stay in place during healing. Another example is a transverse fracture. This type of fracture has a horizontal fracture line, and it breaks at a right angle to the bone's axis. This fracture can be unstable to the tibia, especially if the fibula is also broken. Other fractures include oblique fractures, linear fractures, spiral fractures, and green stick fractures.